just mentioned it, U.S. Attorney Russ Ferguson for the Western District of North Carolina. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
As I mentioned before, a busy man, so I thank you for taking time to do this.
No one's busier than you, Nick.
Well, let's talk about it. I remember I've been working in North Carolina on and off for about a decade, and I remember for a time it was all in the headlines. Mm-hmm. Not as much anymore. I mean, that could be a reflection on where the news cycle, but is the campaign working?
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And that's why I so appreciate your attention on this, because I think every time we do something like this, we save at least one life. Mm-hmm. And it is working. We're seeing, it's kind of interesting. We're still seeing as many fentanyl pills, like just take pills. You know, fentanyl comes in a whole bunch of different variety of ways. But if you take fentanyl pills, we're really seeing the same number of pills out on the street, mm-hmm. but each pill has less fentanyl in it. So in 2024, about 73-74% of the pills out there had a fatal dose in it. One pill would kill you. Now it's about 29%. So that's a huge reduction. I think lives are being saved that way, but it's still, any pill you get could still kill you. So it's not time to take your foot off the gas on the awareness or just have the conversations and do all that. But I do think people getting educated about fentanyl is helping and saving lives, yeah.
What are some of the conversations you've had with families impacted by fentanyl?
You know, I have talked to all sorts of families. And the thing about fentanyl is it doesn't affect mm-hmm. one aspect of society. I mean, I'm talking every region. I mean, rural people, urban people, rich people, poor people. Mm-hmm. Fentanyl affects all of them. And you know, the saddest ones to me are the parents that have lost young people. And a lot of times they have lost good kids who, you know, were stressed out studying for exams, looking for an Adderall or something. And it's not like they're going down to some shady neighborhood and trying to buy crack on the side of the street. They're going on Instagram or
mm-hmm.
Snapchat, and they're getting these pills and they're taking them not knowing that they're fentanyl, and they're dying. I mean, you could die after taking one pill. So I think it's really important for parents to have conversations with their kids. It is not limited to bad kids. You can have a good kid who's working hard, gets a pill from somebody at school or whatever, not knowing it's fentanyl, and the person they get it from may not know it's fentanyl. So, you know, you're like, well, my kid's a good kid. He hangs out with good kids. She hangs out with good kids. You just never know with that. We've had people that had a death in their family and were having a rough go and just looking for one Xanax, you know, to get through the night or whatever. Turned out to be fentanyl.
Oh, wow.
And a fatal thing. So it's just a really sad thing. And you know, I've got a lot of heavy days as U.S. Attorney. I mean, dealing with crime and victims and all that is mm-hmm. never fun. But the heaviest days are talking to people who've lost their loved ones to fentanyl. It's the biggest killer we have.
How does it get to your office from a local agency or a town? How does it get across or come across your desk?
Yeah, a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we try to attack fentanyl cases from top to bottom. So just since August started, we've had a case with a member of an affiliate of the Sinaloa cartel. So mm-hmm. way up, bringing fentanyl in from Mexico, wholesale to everywhere. And then that same week, we had a street-level dealers, 2 people in Burke and Caldwell counties, you know, mm-hmm. dealing fentanyl. So we see it all over the place. And then, of course, I try to get out in the community and talk to people about fentanyl and things like this. And so I meet people who've lost loved ones that way, too. So we see it everywhere. And in other drugs. I mean, we will see people smoking weed, and the marijuana will be laced with fentanyl, or pretty much any drug you get these days can be laced with fentanyl, because the drug dealers know, one, you're going to get a better high, mm-hmm. Which is what they're trying to sell, and it's highly addictive. So it's a repeat business for them to have fentanyl in these drugs. So it's really everywhere. It's astounding.
You mentioned a couple of cases. I know you recently, I believe last week, announced that a prior convicted felon, was sentenced to prison for distributing fentanyl. Sadiq Mafia DeVoe Jones out of Asheville. I've heard this from critics over the years, that you can't arrest your way out of the problem. When people say that, your reaction to that?
That's absolutely true. You'll never arrest your way out of this problem. Now, law enforcement has to be part of it. You have to cut off the supply of fentanyl. As I said, the amount of fentanyl getting to the streets is going down. Mm-hmm. So that's a huge part of what we do, and we've had cases where people are dealing fentanyl out of the hotel right near here, dealing fentanyl right near the studios here, and all sorts of things. But we're never going to arrest everyone who's dealing fentanyl. We're just not going to do it. So we've got to get out to our young people. We've got to have the conversations that are tough conversations. We've got to intervene, talk in schools about it, give people a place to go, know when people are struggling, look out for it. have those conversations and just get the demand for fentanyl to go away. That's the only way we're going to get out of this problem.
You talked about a lot of long and heavy days with your job. What frustrates you about this?
The criminals frustrate me for sure. I mean, the links people will go to earn a buck. And we had a woman from Lincoln County who was dealing fentanyl, dealt to a 17-year-old girl. That 17-year-old girl died, and she continued to deal fentanyl after that, knowing that her fentanyl deal had killed somebody. That's what frustrates me. People like that they just can't see the light at the end of the tunnel and get that way. And a lot of that's addiction driven. Addiction absolutely takes over your life. I had a Facebook Live yesterday with an addiction specialist, and he was a ray of hope to me, because he said, if you're addicted, there's a life you cannot even imagine out there. And I thought that was so inspirational, people to get help if they need it, because there's a lot of people that take fentanyl and die. There's a lot of people that take fentanyl and get addicted, and they're both bad, but you can get out of that.
I was just about to mention that live stream. What did you take away from that live stream?
I learned so much in that live stream. I mean, so for one thing, I know the law enforcement side of fentanyl, and I learned a whole lot getting into this job. I mean, fentanyl was just kind of a mystery to me, but we had an ER doctor on, Dr. Corey Hines, which was so interesting. He told me what to look for if you think someone's maybe overdosing, because I started getting worried. Fentanyl's everywhere. If I'm on the light rail or the city bus or something and I see somebody, how do I know? And he said you start to see their breathing slow down, their pupils get really small, and they start to become less responsive. And that's how you know someone's overdosing. So, and I asked him, Narcan is so big now. You see Narcan everywhere. It's saving lives. And I'm afraid I'm going to give Narcan to someone who doesn't need it and stuff. And he said, very rarely would Narcan have a negative effect. It's like, so when in doubt, go ahead and administer the Narcan. It's a nasal spray. Reacts, slows down the addiction. So I learned a whole lot about that. And then I learned a lot about recovery from addiction. We have Mackie Johnson, who's an addiction specialist and counselor, and just enlightening. I mean, he said that there is medical pharmaceuticals that help you get unaddicted to fentanyl. It's like, so you're not just coming in and people saying, try harder, you're bad because you're an addict, or putting you down. You can stabilize yourself. And then, of course, you have to have counseling and all that. But he said it's really not that much different than treating high blood pressure. You've got to have a medical plan to get over substance use disorder. So it was enlightening to me. I learned a ton. It's still out there on Facebook if anyone wants to go look at it. It was really educational.
Yeah, I never even thought about it like that.
Right?
I mean, until you put it like that.
Exactly.
A lot of people deal with high blood pressure.
Yeah.
One last question before I get you out of here. This is a little off topic from fentanyl, but I have to ask it because about a year ago, you announced those federal charges against DeCarlos Brown Jr. It was an emotional press conference. We had it here live. And again, this is in the fatal stabbing of 23-year-old Irina Zarutska on the light rail. Public safety has been in the spotlight. Again, as you mentioned, you've had a lot of heavy days, and this is one of those heavy cases. What still needs to be done to address public safety?
A whole lot. I mean, we've got to look at a holistic approach to public safety. We've got to stop thinking of public safety as the police's job, because it's all of our jobs. And we are seeing cases that have origins that are not just in bad people. We've got an enormous mental health crisis in the Charlotte area that's growing. Our city is growing, and along with that growth comes mental health problems, homelessness problems. I mean, anyone who walks around downtown near the federal courthouse is going to encounter a homeless person, and they're probably going to encounter someone with mental health issues. We've got youth issues. I mean, the city council is talking about a curfew to get youth in, but what we really need is a place for youth to go. So we've got youth intervention and prevention we've got to do. I think there's tremendous links that we could go as a city to do that. I've been trying to get federal money to do that. The Model Cities grant was one that I think the city council is kind of soured on, mostly I think out of more of a political statement than anything else, because that is something that would bring dollars to all of our problems. Mental health, homelessness, youth intervention, prevention, somewhere for them to go, and public safety. And I hope the city council will reconsider and consider applying for that absolutely enormous 9-figure grant of federal money that's going to go somewhere, and it ought to go right here to Charlotte.
Out of everything on your plate, have you been able to talk to local leaders?
I have. I've talked to a whole lot of local leaders. A lot of them are really engaged and really into it and love it and see the solutions it could provide. And, we have all these people in the Charlotte community that are providing these services. We have the KD Blessing Center. We have Atrium Health, who's doing behavioral health on the streets, literally. The Safe Alliance is doing things for domestic violence. We have all these people that could use a little bit of infusion, because Charlotte has grown so much faster than they have. And I think we can get federal dollars to get there if if the city doesn't let every federal dollar become a referendum on the president. They've got to accept the help from the federal government that's longstanding. It's been there forever. It doesn't matter who the president is. Let it come to our city.
Russ Ferguson here in studio, Myers Park grad.
Yeah.
I learned that today.
Yeah.
He's a Charlatan. As I keep bucking against the Charlatan. Charlatans. Okay.
You're from High Point, right?
I'm from High Point.
Yeah, so
yeah,
just
yeah.
down the road.
Yeah. I thought it was a made up term for charlatan when I first moved here, but it's a real thing. Charlatan, a proud charlatan. Russ Ferguson. Thank you for stopping by.
Thanks for having
You're
me.
always welcome back here in studio.
I'll be back.
All right. Let's head to break.